It's time for Everything Noob, your source for all things gaming.
Welcome to another edition of the Everything Noob podcast. Joining me this evening is Dreadlow.
How's it going? Dreadlow here.
How's it
YouTuber extraordinaire. Not lately. No. Haven't made any videos in a while, but yeah, I'll be making some hopefully soon.
Awesome.
Dreadlow Gaming. Check it out.
Dreadlow Gaming on YouTube. I'm Vortak. I also make YouTube videos a lot more lately than I used to. I live stream like crazy, and actually tomorrow I'm going to have my own radio show on the internet again.
Yeah.
Playing today's rock hits. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
I'll probably link it in the show notes. It's slammintunes.com, 11 a.m. Eastern if you're interested. But that's not why we're here. We're here for Everything Noob tonight. And the theme of this week's episode is going to be indie games. Indie development, to be more specific. We have a whole bunch of things to talk about with indie development, indie devs, upcoming indie titles. I'm stoked. Hope you are too.
Oh, yeah. I love indie games.
So
you know that. That's my heart.
Yeah. Every week we try to do a segment called the Indie Spotlight, where we take an indie game and we tell you guys about it. We link it in the show notes. We're just going to kick it off with the Indie Spotlight tonight, right now, since it's an indie game show. And this week's Indie Spotlight is Human Extinction Simulator, which the developer of this game actually contacted me personally and wanted me to play the game. It is a lot of fun, and I passed it along to Mr. Dreadlow here, and we've both played it. What did you think of it?
It's very it kind of reminded me of the FTL, Faster Than Light, but more of like a board game kind of twist to it.
It's like
but
chess
it's interesting.
A little bit.
Space chess. Yeah.
Space chess. I like that. It's a game. They called it a real-time strategy. They had a whole sentence they called this game, and it was kind of like a real-time strategy game. That's basically what it is, but you get a certain amount of turns, and you have to move your ships in those turns and destroy the enemy ships before they destroy you and the planet you're defending. That's why it's called Human Extinction Simulator, because you're trying to defend the people of Earth from getting blown to smithereens. So.
Well, it starts out with the first level, which at first I failed, but as I figured out what to do, it was easy to get through the first level. But the second level is a little tougher. It's interesting because it's got this 3D-ish depth to it. In other words, it's like a board game. It's got tiles, kind of like, and you move your ship along these. You move your ship along these tiles. But these tiles are you have to in your mind think 3D, because the ship, even though it's moving in front of the enemy ship, it's not really in front of it. It might be in front of it and a little ways away. You know what I mean?
The weapons need to be pointing at the ship to attack it.
Right.
Which is cool, but it adds a whole nother challenge that you wouldn't think. If you were playing it as a board game, you would never think of that. You would just be like, oh, your ship needs to be 3 spaces away to attack. You wouldn't think your ship needs to be 3 spaces away and facing due east, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very challenging. I myself could not get through the second level. Is that what you said you got stuck on?
Yeah, I'm stuck on the second level.
I almost did it, but God.
Yeah, I was close. I was so close. They hit my planet once, but they didn't take away all the population, because I think there's 3 spots of population. They didn't take all my population, but they hit me once, and I almost killed them all off, but I lost. I failed.
I failed miserably. There's actually a ship they give you. Each ship has a different range and a different method of attack. And you don't get to pick the ships. You just start out with the ships. So that's what the strategy part is. You're not allowed to FTL. It's about strategy throughout the game. You upgrade certain parts of your ship and you fly it, and you
take and you build upon it.
So FTL is almost a bad comparison because it's so different. In this, you just get...
It just visually looks like that.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I made a quick look video about it. It's actually linked on everythingnoob.com. And I said the same thing. It reminds me of FTL, but you control several ships instead of one. And it's like an RTS game that is set up for you. Kind of like a tower defense in a way. You don't get to pick anything. You just have your ships, and the only thing you get to decide is where they go. and you have to do it in a certain amount of moves to get a higher score. And
you unlock you unlock new levels or new. I'm not sure if they're going to be
scenarios.
harder as you
Yeah.
go. New scenarios. I'm not sure if they're going to be harder as you go, or you can pick and choose. I know you can go back to the original level and do it over if you want. So and I'm not even sure. These are just made up scenarios. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to, because this is still early in development. I'm not sure if there's going to be a multiplayer aspect of it where you're going to be like competing with another player.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I didn't really look more into it than other than just playing the scenarios, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not out yet. The developer gave us early copies of it, and I'm going to be linking the website for the game in the show notes, and you'll be able to follow up on it. They have blogs and stuff that talk about the status of the game, and you'll know where to go and find it.
And they want to be greenlit on Steam, or are they already?
I think they're still in the green light process.
Okay, so yeah, definitely greenlight them.
Yeah, give them a vote on
you're
green light.
interested.
This game looks visually awesome.
Oh, it is. It's you think of FTL, you think, oh, it's flat, and no, it's actually it's visually awesome. And when the ships move, the background is kind of like it makes you feel like you are in space. So it's not just like a bunch of tiles. The tiles are actually invisible until you highlight over them. And you move. So the tiles aren't there. So it's visually nice.
Yeah, the one silly thing about it, we were laughing at this when we were playing it here. I went to move my ship, and if you move it a few spaces, for whatever reason, it does a circle and then does the move. Like, it does these weird little loops, and they look cool. I didn't get the point.
Well, that's what gave me the idea of it being more of a three-dimensional environment where it's going around in circles, but it's actually going in a spiral deeper into space or further closer to you, even though the ship doesn't change size. I'm guessing that's what's happening, because
maybe
sometimes you can be facing the enemy and not be able to fire at them.
That might be a good way to think about it, because you got to imagine this game if you're not looking at if you're not looking at it right now, following along, you got to imagine it's just you're looking at a flat screen and you're supposed to be simulating space. So there's nothing.
So there's going to be a depth to it.
Yeah. So the ship may be too high or too low compared to the enemy ship. That could be I didn't look at it like that. I just looked at it as amount of spaces I needed to attack.
Yeah, and if that's the case, I'm hoping that eventually what they'll do is they'll simulate the ship to be either smaller or bigger when it's towards you or away from you. Yeah. If that's the case, if it's in a three-dimensional environment like that. That way it gives you some kind of signal as to, okay, you're further away. But there's little numbers. I noticed this, and I haven't figured this out yet. There's little symbols with numbers, and I haven't figured out what that is yet. So hopefully,
the game seems to have a lot of depth, definitely. So I applaud them on that, because it's, I think, the most fun I ever have with any game, any new game, is the learning process. Have you ever felt that way about a game? Like, whenever you've learned everything there is to learn about it, it becomes less fun? Like, yeah, and that's what I like about this game, is the fact that each scenario teaches you something new about, what you have to do, and so it makes the game a lot more interesting. It gives it some longevity, I guess you want to call it. Yeah.
So yeah, it does. I don't like those games where, okay, you figured out everything you're going to do. Okay, well, I'm done with it,
And then
I'll move on to the next game.
Yeah, go through the levels. The most fun I have in games is there's tutorial levels, and each one builds on what the last one introduced.
Yeah.
And I mean, a while back, I think we even gave away a copy of this game. We were talking about Mousecraft like forever ago.
Oh,
which just blew up in popularity. That game went way viral, which is awesome because it's a really well done game. What I really loved about it is almost every level introduced some new challenge, a new piece of the puzzle to make it a little more challenging. By the time you get to the last level, you're like, oh my God, how do I even solve this puzzle?
You got different kinds of blocks that make you bounce, blocks that, yeah. It was interesting.
And this game is like a real-time strategy puzzle game in that sense, where the first level is, oh, this seems simple enough, and the next level they add like a layer of difficulty, and you're like, what? Well, how do I, So it's cool. It's a really cool concept, and I'm going to have, I think, a lot of fun with it for a while. So
Yeah. I'm definitely do a lot more in this game.
So Machine 22 is the developer, and huge shout out to them for giving us an early copy of the game.
Yes, thank you.
If you want to know more, I did make a video on it, and again, it is on everythingnoob.com as well as my YouTube channel, Vortec Vids, and you can go check it out. Really, really cool. So, man, I can't wait till he finishes it up too. I actually pointed out a few bugs to him. We were exchanging emails back and forth. I made the video and I told him, hey, I found a couple bugs, and he fixed them right away.
Wow, that's awesome.
One thing I love about indie developers, they're so easy to talk to, and you don't have to feel like, you can't talk to someone at EA and go, hey, I was playing Madden the other day and I noticed that this bug appeared.
Please contact our support.
Exactly. And then
Okay.
it would be this like massive like Twitter stream of people complaining about it before they'll finally like take notice.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just one guy noticing something. Oh, hey, we can fix that pretty quick. Like an indie this is like a one guy just like making a game. He's like, oh, I can fix that, and it's done.
Boop. Yep, that's cool.
I love it. That's why this week it's so cool to talk about indie games. But some indie game drama happened. I guess just like yesterday. I didn't. I have a Nintendo Wii. I have a 3DS. I know they have like an indie section, but I never venture over there.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what kinds of content I'm in for. I imagine maybe some things we've seen on the PC, but Nintendo actually has like a whole indie department where they, have people submit their games, to the Nintendo indie side of things. Well, the guy who runs that decided to quit. And it's like this drama thing. You would think, why is this news? But this is kind of weird. Like, this is really weird. But Nintendo didn't want him to use Twitter, I guess. And he said something. He made some kind of slip on Twitter, something about region locking. And Nintendo said, do not use Twitter anymore. If you want, we can provide you a PR person, but no more Twitter for you. And so
and he was kind of blocked from using his Twitter.
Yeah, because of that, he just quit. You just dropped the mic. And you're like, nope, I'm done. You guys are... This seems shady to me.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I hate to say it. I just feel like sometimes Nintendo seems a bit secretive.
Yeah, really. Well, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. I mean, if we look at some of the bigger games coming out, they've showed a lot of Super Smash Bros. They showed a lot of Hyrule Warriors and all these big games coming out. So it's like they're secretive, but they're not. They're not like...
Only when they want to reveal something will something be revealed, or when they want to promote something, they'll promote it. They don't want anybody else involved in it. That's why they got their own indie guy, you know what I mean? Instead of just, people just submitting to the company, they have to have a specific guy in charge of that.
It's just kind of weird because that's like Nintendo is a big publisher in its own right. That's what they are. They make consoles and then they're a publisher, and most of their games are exclusive. Like their titles are all exclusive to Nintendo, and they're in their own little world. And I was kind of surprised when I first learned they had an indie section. Like they're taking on indie titles. Are they exclusive Nintendo indie titles or what?
I think they were forced to. I mean, I think back in the regular Nintendo days, there was some really fishy games that came out. One was Action 52. It had 52 games on it, right? And they were just crap. Just utter crap. But they were all obviously a developer. It had to have been an indie developer because Nintendo would never put out something like that. So they had something back then before. But I never related it to indie.
Yeah.
I never thought of it as an independent thing. It was more just, okay, well, Nintendo's putting out a game, but I was young, I didn't know. So, but they did put out, they did have outside developers outside of their Nintendo teams or whatever that made games. So, I don't know. This is interesting that they actually have a department, though.
Yeah, and now the head of that department is gone. I'm sure they'll spit out a new one quick enough. But yeah, I was surprised because it's so... Just thinking about what I said a little bit ago about how it's awesome to be able to talk to indie developers, how do you take like the head of an indie department and silence them on social media? Like that's the strong suit of indie.
You got to look at their culture. At least we're talking about the Nintendo, the Japanese Nintendo, right?
Well, no, You know what? I think it's an American. It's Nintendo of America. Is actually It
Oh,
says it here.
but
Yeah.
I still think it's still kind of run by the main company, which is in Japan. But their whole, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying not to be like, what do you call it? Stereotypical. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, they're Japanese, and Japanese, they have their own culture and their own ways, their own government, how they deal with stuff. So I'm guessing, when it comes to business, it's the same way. So their business owners and business people have complete control of everything that's going on. They're not free to let their employees do whatever they want.
I get it. So you're
You know what I'm saying?
it's kind of like they're taking the Japanese customs and applying it to business, and it's bleeding over into Nintendo of America. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, it's
because
not-
they're in charge of it.
Yeah,
I mean, they are.
It's not that far fetched, but maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I mean, why would Japan have a hand in what American indie titles come out in Nintendo of America? I feel like they put a lot of focus on the CEO of Nintendo in Japan and the CEO of Nintendo in America, and they really have made lately, especially, a giant separation. Just in terms of their presence in EA, like
Right.
both were represented as, this is Nintendo of America's CEO and this is Nintendo of Japan CEO.
Right, but that Japan, if
They might.
if Nintendo America puts out a game that's got Mario in it, Japan has to give that permission to do that. They're the originators of it.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's still
I think they still have ultimate control, even though it's a separate company. I'm guessing. They got.
well, whatever it is, something went down. Like
Yeah,
something
something
dramatic
serious.
happened, because here's the tweet that the guy made after quitting. He says, "Happy to announce I've reached an agreement with @Nintendo America whereby I can tweet again. Arrangement includes my not working there anymore." Whoa. Yeah,
Well-
it's just crazy to me. Like, this guy, for all we know, is an indie developer himself, which is why he got the job. And just how sucky would that be, to be someone who's so used to being out there in social media, which is the reason indie is so popular now, and say no tweeting, no social media. You keep these titles a secret. You don't talk about them.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell? And I think if that was the case, they should have just had a PR person from the get-go, instead of sitting there going, well, we'll give you one now. If you wanted him to shut up, but you wanted to have a social media presence, you should be like, we'll handle social media. You just screen the games that come in and help developers get their games on the market. We'll worry about social media. Don't worry about it. If you're going to tweet about your own stuff, please. And that could have been handled before he even started the job.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
But who knows?
interesting.
I mean, I think if I was an indie dev, this would make me want to look into Nintendo's practices with indie developers. I mean, I'm not an indie dev, so I don't look into that stuff.
That's the whole purpose of being an independent developer. You're not going to listen to what a company tells you to do. You're going to do what you want, or do what you think the community wants, and maybe even involve the community. That's what I like about independent, even films. It's put together by a small group of people who want to make something that I don't think it's 100% wholeheartedly money based. It's fun based. They
Yeah.
want to make something that's fun that people will enjoy. And so, whenever you get a big company involved in that's why who was it that had created some kind of EA, I think it was, that created their EA indie games.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a big joke, because I'm thinking to myself,
We
man,
sat here
EA
and
is a
argued.
huge company.
We argued
and they
about
got
it forever.
indie games.
I remember
So
that.
yeah, I mean, it's indie company, stay indie. Don't get involved with these big companies. I mean, yeah, I guess if you want your product to be on Nintendo, you have to go through them, but don't let them control you.
It sucks too, because if I was an indie developer and I had the opportunity to get on console, I'd want to be on as many consoles as my game fit onto. And it's cool that Nintendo opened the doors to indie, and it's so cool that we see Microsoft and Sony also accepting independent developers into their digital markets. And this is kind of where games, I feel like, are moving. They're kind of moving to that digital marketplace.
And that's just it. The big companies see that. They see that, oh my gosh, we're being overtaken by all these indie companies. Let's pull them in.
Let's be friends. And,
let's be friends. Yeah, okay, let's be friends and control them. That's what they want.
Oh, have you seen what some of these indie games are capable of achieving? Like, oh my God. Like No Man's Sky.
It's going to be incredible. I wish that they would bring it out on PC at the same time they're bringing it out on the PS4. But that's going to be an awesome game. It's supposed to. It's supposed to basically. They said something about. Well, we're not really talking about this, but it's going to be an amazing game. That's all. The way it generates the land mass and all that stuff is going to be incredible.
We're talking like one giant universe, and you just spawn in it.
Yeah.
And you can play on a server with your friends, but it's not like an MMO.
You're never going to find them.
Yeah, you'll never find your damn friends, but you can. It's possible to do that.
It is possible.
And you can just explore the universe together or go off on your own, and it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy game. So that's what they're capable of, and I think finally people are realizing that. The last thing you want to do is piss them off, Nintendo. Actually, speaking of No Man's Sky, they also announced that they are reconsidering their PS4 exclusive thing now. They're saying there's a much better chance that we'll see it on PC, like originally promised. So
yeah,
I'm excited about that because when I learned that they were saying, well, for now it's just going to be PS4 exclusive, and we hope to get on PC, I was pretty bummed out because I was under the impression they were trying to get on all platforms, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and then they said that. So it looks like we're back to almost that original promise, which is great.
Yeah.
So
it'll be good.
But indie companies are getting formed by like people leave these giant companies and go off on their own.
Well, that's kind of the way it was in the film industry. There was a lot of people that were involved with Disney who left and created DreamWorks and then the other one.
Pixar is still with Disney.
Pixar.
If that's what you're thinking of.
Oh, it's still Disney? Okay.
Yeah, they're more Disney than they used to be. I think Disney acquired them, but I'm not a film guy as much.
But I know DreamWorks. A lot of people from Disney left and started DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Kind of almost putting out the same kind of stuff too. It was really scary for a while.
Yeah. No, I love it though because
couldn't tell the difference. Is this Disney or is this DreamWorks?
Yeah, animated movies though. Now we're getting like double the amount of animated movies because of it. Just like games, when we get people, leaving companies and making awesome games. Now we're getting AAA quality out of indie developers for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, because
to us.
It used to be when you got an indie game, you expected it to be kind of like
lame.
Kind of lame and kind of old school, but now we're starting to see some much better content from indie developers.
Yeah. It's exciting.
And even some of the games that do come out with that looked aged, kind of look like real old school, have something different to offer than say just your typical old school game. They do something to it to make it much more modern than even, you know what I mean? They do something to it, whatever it might be.
It's funny you bring that up.
Yeah, procedure degenerate or whatever. Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because tomorrow I have a video coming out on a new upcoming indie game, and I don't know if it'll make it to the indie spotlight or not because there's just a lot of indie games that we plan to spotlight soon. But I know you've played it. It's Life of Pixel.
Yes. What's so interesting about it is there was a game not too long ago that took you through the history of video games. Remember that game? Yeah. And that's kind of what this reminds me of a little bit.
This is like Evoland, but set in just the 8 to 16-bit realm of gaming. And I think what I really love about this game is you start out and it's like you get to choose the consoles that are there. Like they have a whole bunch you can just start playing levels and you don't have to unlock the majority of them. And so it starts off, and each console you click, it gives you the legitimate history of where that console came from, what the hardware was like back then, and you jump into the game. And Life of Pixel is its own game. Imagine a game about a little square pixel. He's square, and the first levels you play are like god awful, because we're talking like the first era of gaming, like the first consoles, the first
Right, black and white
games, and it looks, like old, but it's a brand new game. And the way it works is you go through and you have to collect every coin in the level, then the exit opens and you go on to the next level, and you do that and you complete all the levels in that console, and then you move on to the next console, and now you notice the graphics are a little bit better, and these are how the graphics looked on this console. And it goes all the way into like Super Nintendo and Game Boy and things like that. And they're making the levels themselves. They're not taking actual levels. They're just getting inspired by them. And they even kind of like nod to those other games like Zelda and Metroid and stuff. Like, they kind of make fun of them a little bit and like not give a little bow to them. So you're playing what would be, okay, this is obviously like a Zelda kind of thing, or this is kind of like Mario, But that's the story is the pixel is trying to learn where he came from. And I love that. I love the walk through history.
Oh, I love it. It makes you want to keep playing because you want to get to that, get to better graphics as you go along. You want to go, I can't wait to get to this part of the graphics. And that was what was so cool about Evoland, is it kind of where you started from the beginning and you worked your way up, and it went through. And
so yeah. I have a video of, if you want to kind of see what we're talking about, I have a video of Life of Pixel coming out tomorrow on my channel, and by the time you listen to this podcast, it might already be up. So most likely I'll throw a video on Everything Noob as well, and you'll be able to go over there and check it out. It's cool. It's definitely cool. So, and once again, big shout out to that developer for giving us an early copy.
Yeah,
this keeps happening. It's awesome. Thank you so much to indie developers for letting Joe Schmoes like us review your games. This is so cool.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
I love the community.
Couldn't do that. I mean, I call the EA up and say, hey, we want to check out such and such game.
Yeah, I mean, to run a gaming podcast, you want to have something to go off of. And in this case, if I'm listening to a gaming podcast, I want to know about a new game I haven't heard of.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not getting like a full. I mean,
we don't have the budget to be buying these AAA titles.
No, yeah, we don't. But we're not getting how do I want to say it? We're probably not going to get updates to this game. We're just getting what they have so far, and we're playing it, and then we're going to review it. We probably won't. It's not like we're getting in other words, it's not like we're getting games for free, because we may not even be able to get full future updates.
A lot of times we're just getting a demo or something of the first release,
right.
And if we want more, we got to buy it. But it's cool because a lot of people don't even get that first demo. They're like, hey, play this, tell us what you think of it, maybe put it on your channels.
Right,
okay,
right,
cool.
exactly.
So it's so cool because it's not something that happens today in like today's like massive AAA gaming world.
Right.
So it's cool that we have the opportunity to provide like a really relevant show while also not having to break our wallets open every time, oh crap, another $60-$70
I've done that. It's not, I'm saying that I haven't. There was a game we did not too long ago. I forked over the money to buy it because I wanted to play it and I wanted to, talk about it. So, but it sure is nice when they do that for us.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit. There's a game coming out relatively soon that we've learned about, and it's by a studio that consists of people who have left studios like EA and Lionhead specifically. And if you want full details, they'll be in the show notes. But there's a game coming out called Oort Online, OORT, Online.
Right.
Now, that doesn't tell us anything. We don't know anything about it just by the title. If you look at the screenshots and the videos of it, though, you instantly see a Minecraft clone. That's the only way to describe it. Right off the bat.
The funny thing is about this, and when I saw the video, especially the trailer of it, the comments are like, "Oh, this looks interesting." It's probably, or what was some of the comments that people made? Here's one here. This game looks interesting. It seems that like it offers a little bit more than Minecraft with a setting I enjoy. And I looked at the trailer and I didn't see anything new or different at all.
Well, let's kind of give people an idea.
It looked like Minecraft with the texture pack.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. If you've ever seen Minecraft, if you've been living under a rock, you know Minecraft's just made of blocks. And that's what this game is made out of, but they've done a few things differently. The textures are nice. They don't stick with like the 8-bit, 16-bit textures. And what they do is they take the blocks, and for mountains and stuff, they'll kind of like create like smoothness, so where they're not it's not 100% blocks. And the blocks aren't perfect squares or cubes either. They're kind of like
right,
wavy a
but
little bit.
You can refine them to make them completely straight.
Okay.
According to what I saw in a video, yeah, you can actually do what, like if you get a log, it's kind of like oddly shaped, kind of close to a cube but oddly shaped, and if you want, you can refine it and make it a full block.
Yeah.
What's interesting is when Notch made Minecraft, he experimented with this very same idea, was having the blocks kind of odd or chaotic, as he called it. He didn't like it. He liked it blocks, so he kept it as blocks because he really wanted to smooth everything out. But at that time,
blocks are simple. I mean,
blocks are simple, but it looked better. It looked better in his perspective, and if you saw some of the early videos of the development of Minecraft, you'll see it did kind of look odd.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
But if you take a Minecraft landscape and zoom out, it looks gorgeous. Whether you smooth out the blocks or not, it looks really awesome. And it's almost more impressive that blocks are creating such a vivid picture of like a landscape. So, I feel like we're in this like, a lot of those comments that I read were hate comments. A lot of people are raging in the comments saying, when are people going to stop trying to create or build a game off the success of Minecraft and just make their own damn game for once? We have this already. Let's move on now. We have Minecraft. We don't need another Minecraft. This game offers skills and stuff you level up, which is one thing Minecraft obviously lacks, and that's what people think they can catch Minecraft on.
Yeah, but that's what the mods are for, and I think that's the difference between Minecraft and say this game is they did say that they're thinking about allowing mods on this game to come out. However, it's going to be like specifically an online type environment, so it's going to be kind of like
client mods, maybe.
Yeah, so it would have to be up to the servers or clients. You can't just mod your own game and get in there and have abilities other people can't have. So that's what they're looking at right now as far as that's concerned. But if you still Minecraft, I mean, come on.
See, that's the debate too in the comments of this article. That's the big debate. It's just Minecraft again, and a lot of people are trying to be positive about it and trying to say, well, it offers more than Minecraft has.
It doesn't. The thing is,
but
maybe as a whole game it offers more. But when you mod Minecraft, I can mod Minecraft to be exactly like this game.
All bets are off.
Yeah, I can make it everything that they do. We can do in Minecraft. Seriously, it's there. It's just amazing.
No, you're right.
Even to the point of having weird shaped blocks, you can do that. There's mods that will do that to the blocks.
There's mods that'll smooth out the blocks just like this game does. So if you were to make like a roof that peaked up, there's mods that would smooth that roof out instead of just having it be like steps like it is now. So
now there is one thing that's interesting about this game that I don't think Minecraft has or mods actually offer, and you know how right now we have a draw distance where when we go into Minecraft we can set the draw distance to near or far. And when it's far, when you look far away, things, render farther away than they would closer up. They usually add some fog or whatever to cover what's not actually rendered yet.
Yeah.
Well, in this game, supposedly what they do is they made it so that your draw distance can be further, because what they do is as things are further away, as they come closer to you, they start rendering with more voxels. They start rendering with more definition. So far away, you'll see something. It'll just be a block. You'll see it, but as it comes closer to you, it starts to develop into what it is, a tree or whatever.
Yeah.
So it starts out as a block, and it starts to develop as it gets closer to you.
You know
So
what I feel?
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know what I feel like with this game? I feel like this is what Minecraft would be today if Notch didn't use Java to create it.
There you go.
That's what I feel like. And
That's
again, I'm
true.
not a coder, so I can't say that for sure. But maybe that was a lot of the reason we don't have the things that this game is offering, because it's not being developed in Java. It's being developed probably with a method of coding that's relevant and to today's standard, and it can create things like that, like what you're talking about with the rendering, much easier.
It just cracks me up that these developers, the way they talk about the game like it's something completely new. That's what cracks me up.
That's the
way they describe it.
That's what gets me a little bit riled up about this, because any game, in my opinion, today that is created out of blocks, if the landscape is created out of blocks, if the word crafting is one of their biggest, taglines, and the world is made of blocks, it is, in my opinion, heavily inspired by Minecraft, which is not a bad thing, but we're looking at something that's not an original idea. So you can say it's a better game, but you can't say it's an original idea, because no one's going to buy that.
Right, and that's an interesting point, because one of the comments basically says, well, Minecraft wasn't the first block video game ever developed.
It was the first one done right, though.
And I went ahead and I looked up the evolution of voxels in video games, and just for the fun of it, and I think one of the first voxel engines was
Infiniminer? Is that what it's called? Or
yeah, I'm going all the way back to Duke Nukem 3D.
Oh.
But when it came to actually making a game that was made of blocks, big blocks like that, using the same kind of engine, Infiniminer was the first one. And then after that was Minecraft. And Notch already admitted that he copied Infiniminer, or not really copied, but he basically took the idea of Infiniminer and made Minecraft out of it. Because the guy that developed Infiniminer gave up on it. Says, I don't, Zachtronics, I think, is the name of the company that did it. He gave up on it. He says, you know what? I'm just going to leave it out there. Here's the source code. You guys have fun with it. It's yours. Because he got sick of the hackers. And so he gave up on it. He said, forget it. So then Notch says, well, shoot, I want to make this game. This looks like fun. I can probably control the hackers. And it ended up being something completely different than Infiniminer. His intention was to basically copy Infiniminer. But it didn't work out that way. So, no. This comment that says, Minecraft wasn't the first blocky game is wrong, because it kind of was,
It was
sure,
the
they had
first one
voxel games, but it was the first one to have that kind of mechanism where you break blocks and craft and do the things that you do with it,
Yeah. I love Minecraft. I love what it's done for the indie community. I love what it's inspired. It has inspired actual original games. I just don't, I'm being super critical right now, but from what I'm seeing in front of me, this is not a very original idea. And I don't feel like buying another edition of Minecraft. I can mod Minecraft to do the things this game does, and it'll look very similar. I like that the graphics are sharper.
Right.
And you could go on all day about the improvements you could make to Minecraft, but all in all, people already have their Minecraft.
Right. There are games like Trove. It's an online kind of environment that looks very similar to Minecraft, but it's still different. It's still got some aspects that Minecraft doesn't have, or you can mod into a game. It's completely different. Like having your own little spot that's your home, and you can, and it's not built kind of the same way. It's just different. This right here is exactly like Minecraft. It's too much like Minecraft. It's just, there's no way around it.
Which is a shame, because I'm sure it's a great company working their tits off on it, and I'm sure it is in its own right going to be a good game.
Oh yeah,
but
I'm sure it will.
You're suffering on the marketing aspect of it now, because you're trying to sell it as this a big original idea, and I'm sure they've mentioned that it's heavily inspired by Minecraft, but to still say, but it's original, is kind of like going back on that. It's, we're inspired by Minecraft, but it's original. Which is it?
Well, it's so funny, because I was watching a video of him basically game playing it. He was one of the developers. He says, and here's the cave. Isn't this? Look at this. Isn't this great? And I'm going, dude, that's in Minecraft. What are you talking about? He's making it sound like it's like original, like it's something different that nobody has ever. It was weird. It was just it was ugly the way he was explaining. If he would have just said, yeah, we decided, we're trying to, basically give Minecraft a lift, or even if they were just
we saw Minecraft, we got inspired, we love the blocks, we want to, we wanted to give it a facelift though. We wanted to make our own version of Minecraft, this is the way we feel Minecraft should have been, which is,
right.
Not an insulting thing. That's just their opinion of how Minecraft should have been. And then if they sold it like that, people at least would be less critical like we're being right now. At least we'd be able to say, well, they're being honest. But now they don't look honest to us, right?
Right. Yeah, because they're kind of toting it off like as if that's their original idea. Yeah. It's weird.
So, I don't know.
Anyway, you have to read that. Just listeners that are out there, just watch the video and read it because you'll see what we're talking about. They just kind of like completely, act like Minecraft never existed. It's weird.
Go check it out for sure because make your own opinion. I mean, this is our opinion of it. Go ahead and check it out though, and maybe tell us what you think. But let's. I'm so surprised that we're even talking about this again. But another indie title that's kind of popped back up into the limelight is Flappy Bird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and this time it's coming out. There's going to be a big Flappy Bird. I don't know if it's like a new Flappy Bird or an update to Flappy Bird, but it's coming out for Amazon Fire TV. And it's not going to be updated on like the Android or iPhone market or anything, but they're calling it like Flappy Bird Family. And they've added new birds, new obstacles, and they've tried to, update it a little bit.
It's by the same guy, right?
Yeah. So all of those, all those
interesting
Flappy Bird clones now get to suffer some more with, new ideas. Speaking of clones.
Well, I think we finally found out why he left development of Flappy Bird.
They mentioned it a while back, like he was making all this money, but it was ruining his life.
Yeah, well, it was not just it was ruining. Yeah, because he'd have people in the news in front of his house. They were harassing his family. It got to a point where it was really destroying. He couldn't go out anywhere without being caught up with somebody.
Yeah.
So it freaked him out. But yeah, it's good that he came back.
It's a fun, mindless little game.
It's not my kind of game, but it's good that he came back.
Yeah.
Because he had something going there, and it was really good. Because if I had that opportunity and a stupid thing that I make all of a sudden becomes big,
overnight.
I'm not gonna just overnight. I'm not just gonna just stop development. I won't do that. Hey, this is great. I'm gonna see what I can do. Get some updates. Probably do the notch thing and just give updates every once in a while and just keep interest in it.
People made all kinds of like different things based around Flappy Bird. Like there's a lot of multiplayer versions of it on the internet now. Like you can play with other people and compete with scores, and that's kind of the things they've added to the game, like person versus person and stuff like that. So they're trying to make it an actual game. I just kind of worry for the Amazon Fire TV market if that's going to be like, a tank again. He's gonna make all this money and get freaked out again and leave and
I
make
think
it look like a publicity stunt rather than an indie game.
Well, that's what he said in an interview or whatever. He just wants everything to cool down, and now he wanted some time to prepare himself in case this was to ever happen again before he brings it back out, because he was supposedly going to bring the game back, but I think this time he's prepared.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's getting involved in this.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how a simple game like that just became so big.
Oh man, you're telling me. And it's crazy that like we're seeing a whole nother basically console with this Amazon Fire TV, which we did bring up like when it was being announced on the show here, and now we're seeing exclusive titles for this little tablet. And it's strange to me that someone's sitting in their living room playing with Amazon Fire TV, and that's their home gaming console. Isn't that
It's
weird?
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
I just see it as the three big gaming consoles. But that kind of brings me into what we're going to be talking about next week. We're kind of trying something new here on Everything Noob with giving episodes more of a theme. And we want to do it this way so you guys can participate in the show better instead of us just come up with a list of topics and surprise you with them every week. We want you guys to jump in on the action here. So next week's topic is going to be gaming technology related. We're going to be talking about some of the different technologies coming out for gaming that are already out for gaming and things like that. And that's what the show's going to be about. We'll pull some stories from it and stuff like that. But more importantly, we want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on the future of gaming and gaming consoles in general, like where it's all headed, and maybe crazy different consoles you have. Do you have an Amazon Fire TV? So that's what the question we're kind of leaving you guys with as we're getting close to wrapping up the show here is what sort of things do you want to discuss about the future of gaming consoles? And there's plenty of ways to reach us. Let me just go over these real quick. You can tweet us. Really short, sweet tweet to @everythingnoob, and let us know. Oh, I have this and I love it, or I can't wait for the Oculus Rift to be a public thing. I have a Google Glass. Believe it or not, there's games on it, and I play this. Whatever it may be, you can tweet us. We have a really nice contact us page on the website, everythingnoob.com. Hit contact us. You can leave a voicemail, and we can play that on the show. You can text us. And this all goes into an inbox. We're not there to answer a telephone, and you can just write an email traditionally on that page, and it'll pop up, and yeah, those are the ways you can contact us.
And check out our YouTube channels too, because each of us have, we have the Everything Noob YouTube channel, which we're going to probably be starting First Street, but that's another subject. But we also have our own YouTube channels. And you can check us out. I'll be putting some content up. I haven't put any content up in a long time. But Vortak here, he's got a lot of stuff going on. So check out our YouTube channels.
Way too much going on. I'm so freaking overwhelmed, dude. Oh my gosh. The other night, I started looking at everything that I've started just in general, like online, my online presence. And I'm so all over the place. I just kind of shut down and went to bed. I'm like, I can't look at this anymore. I shut off my computer and went to sleep. And I'm trying to just reorganize everything right now. But you're going to start seeing a lot of quick looks on indie games coming on my channel, as well as things related to our Minecraft community. I don't talk about the Minecraft community enough. We have all these awesome people playing on our Minecraft server, people running it, and it's just not, I haven't brought it into the limelight enough lately. So all these things are, times are changing. I'm trying to get organized. But you mentioned First Street, and I want to talk about that real quick. I actually made an announcement video on the Everything Noob YouTube about this, but if someone who's like, oh yeah, I remember First Street, what happened with that? We were going to make a season finale, and after going back and looking at it, we kind of decided, oh, well, what's there is a good season finale. Why screw it up, So what was going to be the season finale will now be the season opener for season 2. And
right.
It's going to...
It just worked out that way. It was so cool.
Yeah, it worked out. It's funny how things work out sometimes. So we're in the development process. We're going to start writing it soon. No official release dates or anything like that, but you can go catch up. There are 10 perfectly great episodes sitting on our YouTube channel, and you can go catch up on those. And it's cool. It's good stuff. First Street, I'm so excited for season 2, man. There's so many twists and turns that it's going to take now, and now that we've kind of identified who the characters are and what's going on in this crazy town, it's going to be fun. It's a Minecraft machinima, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Which is like a machine animation. It's a series based in Minecraft, but it's acting. It's not like a Let's Play. So if you haven't seen a machinima, don't know what that is, that's kind of
like a Minecraft sitcom.
Yeah, in a way. So we're hoping that that people are excited about it. We're gonna be talking about it more and more here as the weeks go on.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's cool. What else? You said something else that got me. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that. Now I can't remember what the hell that was.
About our YouTube channels?
Yeah, but. What was it last week or 2 episodes ago where we talked about the Yog Ventures?
I think it was last week.
We'll have to check again. Not long ago,
Yeah.
we talked about the Yog Ventures, going back to like the indie theme of the show here while we're wrapping up. And I feel like we didn't get to say enough about what's been going on with the Yog Ventures. We kind of just got caught up in the actual story of it. And
Right.
I feel like a lot of points were missed when it comes to just like the idea behind it. Like, just to recap real quick, there's the Yogscast. We're making a game called the Yog Ventures, heavily inspired by Minecraft, but not made out of blocks. Or was it?
At first it was blocky, and they wanted to smooth it, and then they did smooth it,
Okay.
and so it's smooth. Yeah.
So
but
your
it's
favorite
still
personalities from Yogscast were in this game, and it was hyped. They raised $500,000 on their Kickstarter, and then out of nowhere, just a couple weeks ago, they shut it all down. And they said, the game is done. We're just going to give everyone a code to this other game, and, sorry. And that's just
Yeah.
where they left it. And the one point that I really wanted to make, and we've made this point before, but it bears repeating now that, like, we're back to this happening. This is really going to screw up, like, me personally. This screws up how I feel about kickstarting something even more than how I felt before.
because there's been just so many Kickstarters that fail like this.
I know.
It's just,
And the more
it's
money that's
disappointing.
raised lately, it seems, the bigger the project is, the more likely it is to close down.
well, yeah, and then when a Kickstarter has these big perks, for these big amounts, like this one had $10,000 perks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple people paid $10,000, so they're going to get a key to a game that's $10 on Steam for $10,000.
Oh, exactly.
And so that's going to make people not want to give that much money to a Kickstarter like this, if it's going to fail like that.
A lot
You
of
know?
a lot of news is like being released and leaked about where the money's gone and just the different areas it went to right after the Kickstarter ended. And you'd be surprised how much money was put in the wrong hands. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into a bunch of numbers and stuff. If
No,
you want to dig up more details, we can leave it in the show notes.
Well, one of the things that's disappointing is the attitude of Yogscast on this whole thing. But I guess that would be another subject to talk about. But when they knew that it was going to fail or whatever, they didn't care about the community. They didn't care about the fans, the people that already kickstarted the thing. They just wanted their part of the piece of the pie. Just give us what you got, the $150,000, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
If you don't, then we're gonna take legal action or whatever.
It
It's
sucks
like, what the
because
heck?
they basically gave, and I didn't really understand this because I didn't kickstart this project personally. I saw it and I thought maybe I will, and the Kickstarter was over. They raised their goal. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll look forward to this, and I'm still skeptical just because of kind of some of the news that has been around Yogscast, but the game concept sounded fun, so I'm like, cool, and yeah, it's crazy to me that they basically just gave their intellectual property to this studio, and now they're pushing it all on them, saying, oh, it's their game, and what I'm getting at here is how many other giant entities similar to the Yogscast might do this in the future. Like, how many other ones are going to be like, hey, we're making our own video game, and come to find out they're hardly involved in it. They'll put their voice on it and their images, but when it comes all down to it, you're buying a game from these developers, and it's not, your favorite YouTubers or whoever isn't even involved in it. It the whole thing, not just the fact that the game got shut down, and failed, but more or less, I'd still be upset to find out that the Yogscast hardly have a hand in it. And I understand they're not game coders and stuff, but they almost don't want anything to do with it, it seems like. And even if the project was still going, I'd be kind of offended as someone who, potentially would have backed it. So I'm sure someone who would have backed it would be pretty offended. I would be. So that's just kind of the point I wanted to add in there to that topic. It was actually episode 89 we talked about it a couple weeks ago. And I just wanted to throw that in there, like, that sucks. Indie games rely on Yogscast, on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and things where you can raise money and crowdsource. Look at Star Citizen, millions of dollars they've raised, and every dollar seems to be going to great use. They're giving updates about the game. When they fall short of a deadline, they apologize, explain why they fell short, and people are understanding because they were honest. I'm sure there's plenty of trolls too, but
Well,
the majority is understanding. The media is understanding.
we talked about this stretch goals. I think that might save Kickstarter because you set the goal low, right? So that a lot of people could just give as much as they want, and then as the development process goes on, and they meet certain stretch goals, they could say, okay, we met the stretch goal, we got to do this now, or we got to do this now. People kind of know what's happening and what's going to happen in the development process. I think people will actually kickstart something or back something like that if if this right here where you just one of them was a $10,000 five packers paid $10,000 for this. No stretch goals, nothing. They just basically, here's what we're going to do, accept it or not. And so everybody accepted it.
But yeah, we all knew that. It's just sad that, that people are going to lose even more faith in Kickstarter now, and now Kickstarter is just going to become this big joke. The more this happens, the closer we are to Kickstarter being like a funny thing people do, like, oh yeah, we'll back this, buddy,
But here's something, and I appreciate this. The indie developers out there now, and what they're doing now, and I've noticed this a lot, is they are doing these early accesses. Now, when they do an early access, usually now I've seen some where it's more, but the real indie developers out there that are not trying to make money but want to put something out there for fun, make the early access less than what it would be in retail, and then you buy into it, and then you can play the game and see for yourself what it's going to be like. And we've had a discussion about this, though, with the fact that early access, sometimes you get bored of a game before it's released, and I can understand that. But it gives people an opportunity to be a part of the creation process of the game. And that way, when you back a game, you feel like you got something.
Exactly.
Whereas in a Kickstarter, you don't get nothing until they decide to give it to you. And then, if they decide to back out, you're screwed. At least this way, you paid, say, $10 for an early access game that's regularly $19.99. You pay $10 for it, you're getting what you get, and they're constantly developing and giving updates, and you're watching the process as it grows. So you don't feel like you've been ripped off.
What you've just discovered, though, is the best case scenario for future Kickstarters. Best case scenario, they have to work 10 times harder with a very limited budget before they kickstart their project to produce something. So we see that they're serious, and the more they do, the more encouragement we'll have to back it.
Right, and the more people
is great for screening, but it sucks for them who they have day jobs and they can't take any time off or anything.
They need that
because
upfront money right away.
Exactly,
they're not going to get it.
But maybe it's better that way. Maybe it's better to have something before you beg for money for it. I mean,
there are some developers that have actually done that, given early access to a game, and then kickstarted it.
Yeah.
So like they see that, hey, this is something that's going to be going on. This is something big. Maybe we can throw Kickstarter. After a few months of people buying early access, then they start kickstarting. And that's an idea. Yeah. But to just from scratch do a Kickstarter and I think people are going to be more reluctant to be a part of that now.
I just wanted to get that out in the open before we wrap up here and before the episodes get too far away from that one. But we are out of time. I want to thank everyone for joining us for Everything Noob. Remember what I said about leaving feedback and talking about our next week's theme, which is going to be all about gaming tech, future of gaming tech, where it's all headed, and how we feel about it. So be sure to leave your comments and your thoughts on that over on everythingnoob.com. Any way you like, Twitter, contact us, comments of the show notes, whatever you'd like, and we will talk about your opinions on that. So thank you so much for coming. We will see you next week, and that's all she wrote.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Everything Noob podcast. Be sure to visit everythingnoob.com for previous episodes, show notes, host bios, and blogs. And while you're there, feel free to write us with any questions, comments, or suggestions you may have. Don't forget to check out the links to our Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch TV channel as well. On behalf of the Noobs, see you next week, and happy gaming.